On my quest to collect character signatures on my hand-painted Disney jacket, I've gotten pretty familiar with a lot of the different places to meet characters on Disney World property. So here was my latest trip to the character spot at Epcot. From the main entrance, you're going to go below Spaceship Earth and then hug right. Before you get to the fountain, you will see 2 buildings on your right with a covered walkway connecting the 2 of them. Below that covering, each of those buildings will have an entrance to a different character spot. The character spot on your left is where you can meet Mickey, Minnie, and Goofy. There is actually a fast pass for that meet and greet, and it tends to pop up fairly regularly through the day unless it's a really crowded Epcot day. So keep that in mind. I wouldn't necessarily grab that as one of my first fast passes, but it is a good one that you can grab later, and it does pop up fairly regularly, and then you can meet 3 of the big characters of Disney. But on this particular day, we were heading to the character spot on the right, because that is where we were able to, at that point, meet Baymax from Big Hero 6 and Joy and Sadness from Inside Out, but that's all about to change in all the big, huge renovations that are happening at Epcot, so we wanted to make sure that we hopped in there and met Baymax, especially before that character meet and greet went away, because we absolutely love him, he's adorable, and I'd never gotten the chance to meet him yet. I've been meaning to stop in and meet with Baymax for a while, but somehow with Epcot we always get swept up into the showcase and either all the yummy foods or the great different views and whatnot, so somehow we don't usually spend a ton of time at the front part of the park, especially anything that we don't have a fast pass for, so I definitely made a point on this trip to get in there and visit with Baymax before he sadly goes away. As soon as we entered that side of the character spot, directly to our left was Baymax, and you actually kind of walked past him and you could see him to get to his queue, and to the right was a big room with the queue for Joy and Sadness, and you couldn't directly see them unless you really went way back and kind of peeked around a big wall, so that was a little bit different from one side to the other. We went to Baymax's line first, and because of his big inflatable fingers, he does not sign, which is a little bit sad, and part of the reason why he'd always gotten sort of pushed lower on the priority list, because lately I've been really concentrating on getting character signatures more than just meeting characters. And as you get to the front of his queue, the cast members there are very conscious of anything sharp that might put a little hole in Baymax, just like in the movie. So they will ask you to remove a lanyard with pens or any ink pens or whatnot, and they will stress that he does not sign, and they'll look for anything that might prick him and put a hole in him, so be prepared to be asked to remove any badges or anything like that. As is typical for any of the non-face characters that do not speak, it was a fairly short interaction. We had a nice healing hug and then some quick pictures, and I did get a wonderful fist bump on the way out. Even though it was short, it was a cute interaction, and I'm really kind of sad to see that that's going to be going away, but I kind of totally get it as well, since they were so very particular about anything that might have punctured Baymax. I'm assuming that that happens on a fairly regular basis, and it's probably a very problematic little interaction compared to, say, a princess. So I can see why they're taking that away. Hopefully the character will still pop up in parades and events and such, something to keep an eye out in the future. As for Joy and Sadness, I honestly almost skipped them because somehow I had never seen Inside Out. I knew about the movie, I knew the basic premise of the movie, and I had wanted to see it, but somehow I never got around to it. I guess a lot of my Disney watching is either with my friends in another city and state, Or sometimes I can convince my husband if it's something a little more actiony and a little less singy, but usually a lot of my Disney movie watching has been with my nieces, and I guess somehow I never got to watch this one with my nieces. But since my focus was on getting character signatures, and I did ask the cast member and was told that they do in fact sign, we decided the line didn't look too terribly long, so we would go ahead and wait. And it was a pretty decent wait. I was kind of surprised at how many people were waiting to see Joy and Sadness. Usually you see that kind of a line on either a really classic character like Mickey and Minnie or one of the big princesses. So I was a little surprised to see how many people were waiting to meet them. It is one of the more limited setups where only one room is set aside to meet with these particular characters. So it is a little bit slower. The line does not move quite as quickly as it does for some of the characters that have multiple rooms to meet in, but it still moved fairly steadily and didn't take too terribly long. And even though I didn't really know much about the characters, when it was our turn, I had a blast. Joy bounced over and greeted me with a big hug, and then she escorted me over to Sadness where it was a little bit better lit, and she immediately pretty much dived in and was starting to sign my jacket, while Sadness was a little more intrigued with the jacket and was trying to sort of investigate it and give it a little once over, and then she was trying to ask me if I had painted it. When Joy finished signing and was trying to hand the Sharpie over to Sadness, Sadness was still distracted, so they ended up dropping the Sharpie, and Joy was just, oh no, so embarrassed about it, and we had a moment and I'm like, it's okay, I drop things all the time, I am not very graceful. I'm like, I won't tell anybody, and yet here I am putting it on YouTube. But I did reassure her that it was perfectly fine and it happens all the time and everything was okay. Eventually, they did both finish signing the jacket, and now Joy wanted to have a little look at it, and as usual, Gaston really got her attention. They were a little disappointed that they weren't painted actually on the jacket, but I explained that there's really only so much room and I had to leave room for people to actually sign, and then they were fine with it and they were pretty excited. After a big group hug and some really cute pictures, I was escorted off to make room for the next group. And it was such a cute interaction, and we had so much fun, even though I didn't know anything about these characters really, that we actually ended up watching the movie the next couple days, and it was so cute. I absolutely loved it. And now that I've seen the movie, I have a much greater appreciation for their queue. It was super cute, and I kind of wish I'd known more about it so I could have gotten some more pictures and video of the queue area. Very cute. There was a lot of lights and sounds happening. I actually really wish now that I had gotten a little more footage of that because it was very cute. So that was me meeting Joy, Sadness, and Baymax in the character spots at Epcot. Between that side and the 3 characters on the other side of the character spot, you've got a total of 6 characters with only 3 lines to wait in. So since you're not walking a lot of distance between the characters, there's only a few lines, it's a really efficient way to meet a lot of characters. So if you've got a kiddo who's really into those character meets, the character spot at Epcot is a great way to go. I hope you found this helpful and enjoyed watching my character interactions. If you did, I hope you'll like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment about who your favorite character is to meet at Disney, and have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next time.